Framed for a stolen goblet, he lost everything. Uncovered darkest family secret. The accusation. I've been trimming hedges and tending gardens for California's elite for years, and let me tell you, the rich have secrets that make your head spin. I'm a former Marine, seen my share of chaos, but nothing compares to the drama I witnessed at the Vincent estate in Napa 2 years back. I keep my mouth shut, do my job, but this story is too wild to stay buried. It's about a family torn apart by a lie, a kid named Donovan, and a glass that cost more than most folks' houses. The Vincents own one of the biggest wineries in Napa Valley, a sprawling estate with vineyards stretching as far as the eye can see. Their mansion's a palace of glass and stone, all polished to a shine, but the real show's what happens inside. I was there, pruning roses, when it all went down. Donovan, the youngest, Vincent, 28, was a good kid, talented, but always overshadowed by his sister, Kyla. She's 31, sharp as a tack, running the winery's marketing like a general. Everyone loved Kyla. Golden child, perfect smile, always closing deals. Donovan, he was quieter, still finding his way, helping with the vineyard's operations, but never getting the spotlight. I'd see him checking the vines, joking with the workers. Kid had heart, but his family didn't notice. Kyla was engaged to Forrest, 33, a slick investor with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I didn't trust him from the jump. Word around the estate was he'd been mixed up in some shady wine auctions years back, faking labels to scam collectors out of millions. Never got caught, but folks whispered he proposed to Kyla with this antique crystal goblet, a 19th century piece from some French chateau, worth a fortune. It was nieces and nephews drank it up, Kyla showing it off at every party. The Vincents threw a bash to celebrate the engagement, inviting Napa's elite. I was there, hauling flower arrangements, watching the crowd. Donovan stuck to the edges, sipping a beer with his buddy Harrison, a former coder who'd moved back to town. Kyla and Forrest worked the room, all charm and polish. Emmett, their dad, 60, ran the winery with an iron fist, all about legacy and reputation. Lorelei, 58, his wife, was a former actress, still glamorous but fragile, always deferring to Emmett. They adored Kyla, their pride and joy. Donovan, they barely glanced his way. A month later, I'm shaping topiaries when I hear a scream from the mansion. Kyla's voice, shrill, cuts through the air. I keep working, my job's to stay invisible, but I see Donovan bolt out of the house, face pale. Kyla's right behind, yelling, "You stole it! You stole the goblet!" I freeze, clippers in hand. She's accusing Donovan of taking that antique glass, says she left it on the kitchen counter after cleaning it, and now it's gone. Donovan's stunned, swearing he didn't touch it, but Kyla's on a tear. "You're jealous. You've always hated my success. You probably sold it to fund your pathetic life." Ouch. I wince. That's a low blow. Donovan's no saint, but a thief? Didn't add up. Emmett and Lorelei get home, and Kyla lays into them, tears streaming, spinning her story. She's convincing, I'll give her that. Says Donovan's the only one who could have taken it. Claims he's been resentful since she got promoted over him. Emmett's face hardens. Lorelei starts sobbing. "How could you, Donovan?" They search his room, tear it apart, close books, his laptop, everything, no goblet, but they find a stash of cash, maybe $1,000 from his vineyard work. Kyla pounces, "Where'd this come from? You sold it, didn't you?" Donovan's desperate, explaining it's savings for a winemaking course, but they're not listening. Emmett's glare could cut steel. "You're a disgrace," he says. I'm outside, hearing it all through an open window. Nina, the estate manager, 55, slinks by, her eyes sharp. She's got this way of knowing everything, stirring the pot without getting burned. I catch her smirking, like she's enjoying the chaos. Garrett, another gardener, my buddy, is nearby, quiet as usual. He's 30, keeps his head down, but I know he sees more than he lets on. I ask, "You think Donovan did it?" He shrugs, mutters, "Doesn't seem like him." That's all I get. Garrett's not one for talk. The next week's hell for Donovan. Kyla won't let up. Demanding he confess, Emmett threatens to call the cops. Lorelei begs him to make it right. Donovan's alone, no allies. He tries calling Harrison, but the guy's swamped with his new tech job. Monica, 27, a sommelier and old friend, checks on him, but she's working double shifts. The family's relentless, treating him like a criminal in his own home. I see him one day hauling trash for us. Emmett's idea of punishment, looking like a ghost. I nod. say, "Hang in there, kid." He barely nods back. Then the hammer drops. Emmett and Lorelei sit him down in the study. I'm outside, raking leaves, but the window's cracked. Emmett's voice is cold. "We can't trust you anymore. You're bringing shame on this family. You need to leave." Lorelei's crying, but she doesn't stop him. Kyla's there, arms crossed, not saying a word. Donovan's voice breaks. "I didn't do it. You're my family. How can you believe her over me?" Emmett's unmoved. 2 days. Pack your things." Donovan storms out, past me, eyes red. I pretend I didn't see. He crashes with Harrison, who's got a tiny apartment and a new job, so it's temporary. Donovan grabs what he can, clothes, a few books, his savings, and walks out of that mansion, the only home he's ever known. I'm mulching beds when he leaves, and I catch Kyla watching from her window. For a second, her face softens, like she's second-guessing herself, but then she turns away. I shake my head. Families, man. They'll break you faster than any war. Meanwhile, there's this journalist, Piper, 26, sniffing around. She's young, hungry, always at the estate's events, asking questions. I've seen her chatting up Nina, digging for dirt. She's got a blog that's blowing up, and word is she's gunning for a big scoop to land a job at a major outlet. I overhear her at the engagement party telling some suit, "The Vincents look perfect, but nobody's that clean." I don't like her vibe. Too eager, like she'd burn the place down for a headline. Donovan's out there now, fending for himself. I hear through Garrett he's working odd jobs, dishwashing, picking fruit, whatever pays. Kid's tough, I'll give him that. Back at the estate, life goes on. Kyla's planning her wedding, Forrest is schmoozing investors, and Emmett's pushing the winery to new heights. But I notice cracks. Kyla's jumpy, checking her phone too much. Forrest is distant, always on calls he takes outside. Nina's smug, like she's holding a winning hand. And Piper's still circling, asking me one day, "Heard anything about that missing goblet?" I shrug. "I just cut grass, lady." She smiles, "But it's all teeth." I keep my eyes open, same as always. Seen enough in the Corps to know when something's off. This family's got secrets, and that goblet's just the start. Donovan's gone, but I got a feeling this ain't over. Not by a long shot. Survival? I've seen a lot work in these Napa estates, but the Vincent family mess stuck with me. 2 years ago, I watched Donovan, the youngest Vincent, get cast out over a lie about a stolen antique goblet. Kid didn't deserve it, but life ain't fair, and rich folks' drama cuts deeper than most. I'm a former Marine, used to keeping my head down, but I couldn't help rooting for Donovan. He was fighting to survive, and I knew that fight too well. Here's what happened next. Donovan landed on his buddy Harrison's couch, a cramped apartment in downtown Napa. Harrison, 29, was a coder scraping by after quitting tech to come home. It wasn't much, but it was a lifeline. Donovan didn't have much. His backpack, some clothes, and that grand he'd saved for a winemaking course. He took whatever work he could find, washing dishes at a diner, picking grapes at smaller vineyards, even cleaning pools. I'd hear about him through Garrett, my fellow gardener at the Vincent estate. Garrett's 30, quiet, but he's got ears everywhere. "Kids hustling," he'd say, shaking his head. Doesn't quit. One night, Donovan stumbled into a bar owned by Isaiah, 40, a former winemaker who lost his own vineyard to a shady partner years back. Isaiah's place was a dive, all worn wood and dim lights, but it felt real, not like the polished tasting rooms up the road. I stopped by sometimes for a beer, heard Isaiah talking to Donovan that first night. "You look like you've been through hell, kid," Isaiah said, sliding him a glass of house red. Donovan spilled the story, Kyla's accusation, the goblet, his family turning on him. Isaiah listened, then said, "I got screwed over once too. Didn't break me. Won't break you." He offered Donovan a job bussing tables. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. Isaiah became more than a boss. One slow night, I was there when he pulled Donovan aside, showed him how to taste wine properly. "Swirl it, smell it, let it sit," Isaiah said, holding up a glass. "Wine's like life, takes patience to find the flavor." Donovan nodded, soaking it in. Isaiah shared stories of his old winery, how he'd trusted the wrong guy and lost everything. "Don't let their lies define you," he told Donovan. "Build something they can't touch." I sipped my beer thinking that was the kind of talk that keeps a man standing. Donovan's old friend Monica, 27, a sommelier at a fancy restaurant, stepped up too. She'd known him since high school, always had his back, She helped him find a cheap room in a shared house with some vineyard workers. It was a far cry from the Vincent mansion, peeling paint, creaky floors, but Donovan didn't complain. Harrison chipped in, setting him up with a laptop to start online winemaking courses. I'd see Donovan's light on late when I drove by after a long day at the estate, kid hunched over his screen, studying. He was clawing his way back, piece by piece. Back at the Vincent estate, I kept my eyes open, trimming vines and eavesdropping. Kyla was still the golden child, planning her wedding to Forrest, but something was off. She'd snap at the staff, check her phone like it was ticking. Forrest, 33, was worse, always stepping outside for hush calls, his slick smile fading when he thought no one was watching. I knew his type from the core, trouble dressed in a suit. Word was he'd run scams in the wine world, faking rare bottles to fleece collectors. Never got nailed, but the stink followed him. Nina, the estate manager, 55, was stirring the pot as usual. She'd drop hints to me while I weeded, saying things like, "That goblet business smells like one of Forrest's games." I'd nod, keep my mouth shut. Nina played her own angles, always had. Piper, that journalist, 26, was circling closer. She'd show up at the estate, all smiles, asking about the winery's history, but her questions were sharp. Any scandals I should know about? She'd say, winking. I caught her cornering Nina once, notepad out, digging for dirt on the goblet. Piper's blog was getting traction, and she was hungry for a story to break her into the big leagues. I didn't trust her. She'd twist anything for clicks. One day, she published a vague post about secrets in Napa's top winery, hinting at the Vincent drama without naming names. It got people talking, and I saw Emmett, 60, the patriarch, storming around, barking at staff to keep their damn mouths shut. Lorelei, 58, was crumbling under the pressure. She'd wander the gardens, looking lost, muttering about Donovan. I overheard her tell Nina I should have believed him. Nina just patted her arm, all fake sympathy. Emmett kept the winery humming, but even he seemed rattled, checking the books late at night. Kyla and Forrest were pushing a new wine launch, acting like nothing happened, but the cracks were showing. I'd catch Garrett watching them, his face unreadable. "Something's gonna break," he muttered to me once. I didn't disagree. Donovan was building a new life, but the past wouldn't let go. One day, I'm at the bar when he walks in, holding a letter from Lorelei. His hands shake as he shows it to Isaiah. "They found the goblet," he says, voice flat, "in the cellar behind some old barrels. They want me to come home." Isaiah leans back, squinting. "Sounds convenient. You believe him?" Donovan shakes his head. "I don't know. Why now?" I'm nursing my beer, listening, thinking the same thing. Isaiah puts a hand on his shoulder. "Trust your gut, kid. Families like yours don't just admit they're wrong." Donovan nods, but I can see he's torn. He agrees to meet them, but not at the estate. He picks a coffee shop in St. Helena, neutral ground. I hear about it later from Monica, who went with him for support. Emmett, Lorelei, and Kyla show up, all apologies. Lorelei's crying, saying she kept his room the same, hoping he'd come back. Emmett admits they failed him, says pride kept them from reaching out sooner. Kyla's quieter, mumbling she's sorry, but Donovan notices she won't meet his eyes. They swear the goblet was misplaced, found during a cellar inventory. Donovan listens, stone-faced, but he's not buying it. "You threw me out," he says. "You didn't even ask my side." They beg him to return, but he walks away, telling them he needs time. Back at the bar, Donovan tells Isaiah he's hiring a private investigator, Oakley, 35, to dig into the goblet mess. Isaiah nods, pours him a glass of their best red. "Good move," he says. Truths like wine takes time to breathe. They clink glasses, and I see something in Donovan's eyes. Not just anger, but purpose. He's not the kid who left the estate anymore. Piper's sniffing closer, though. She corners me at the estate one day, asking about Donovan. "Heard he's back in touch with the family. Got any juicy details?" Her smile's all charm, but I know she's fishing. "I just mow lawns," I say, brushing her off. She laughs, but her eyes are cold. A week later, her blog drops another post, this time naming Donovan, calling him the black sheep of Napa's royal family. It's half-truths, painting him as a jealous thief who's worming his way back. The comment section lights up, and I know she's just getting started. Donovan's pushing forward, though. He's acing his online courses, saving for a better place. Monica and Harrison are his rocks, and Isaiah's lessons are sinking in. One night, I'm at the bar when Isaiah pulls out an old bottle from his own winery, long gone. He pours 3 glasses for him, Donovan, and me. "To new beginnings," he says. Donovan smiles. First time I've seen it in months. I raise my glass, thinking this kid's tougher than he looks. At the estate, things are unraveling. Kyla's wedding plans are stalling. Forrest is barely around. Nina's dropping cryptic comments about Forrest's old habits. Piper's posts are stirring up trouble, and Emmett's lawyers are circling. I'm just the gardener, but I know a storm's coming. Donovan's out there building something new, but the Vincents and Piper aren't done with him. Not yet. Truth. I've seen plenty of messes in my years tending gardens for Napa's rich, but the Vincent family saga was something else. 2 years ago, Donovan, the youngest Vincent, got kicked out over a lie about a stolen antique goblet. He clawed his way back, built a new life, but the past doesn't let go easy. I'm a former Marine, learned to spot trouble a mile off, and trouble was brewing. Between a scheming sister, a crooked fiancé, and a journalist playing dirty, Donovan was walking a tightrope. Here's how it all came crashing down. Donovan was done playing nice. After that coffee shop meeting with his family, Emmett, Lorelei, and Kyla begging forgiveness for finding the goblet in the cellar, he knew something stank. He'd hired Oakley, a private investigator, 35, sharp and no nonsense, to dig into the truth. I was at Isaiah's bar one night, sipping a beer, when Donovan filled us in. Oakley's got leads, he said, eyes hard. Isaiah, 40, the bar's owner and Donovan's mentor, leaned on the counter. Truth's like a good vintage, he said. Takes time, but it'll show itself. Isaiah had lost his own winery to a trader years back, so he knew the game. He'd been teaching Donovan more than just pouring drinks, how to read people, how to stand tall. That night, he poured us a round of his old stock, a deep red from his lost days. To you, kid, he said. Don't let him break you. Donovan clinked glasses, a fire in him I hadn't seen before. Back at the Vincent estate, I kept my head down, pruning vines, but the place was a powder keg. Kyla, 31, was unraveling, wedding plans stalled, snapping at everyone. Forrest, her fiancé, 33, was a ghost, always on shady calls. I'd heard enough whispers to know his past, faking wine labels, scamming collectors out of millions. He'd dodged prison, but the stink clung. Nina, the estate manager, 55, was loving the chaos, dropping hints to me while I raked. Forrest in deep with some bad people, she'd say, smirking. I didn't bite. Nina played every side, and I wasn't her pawn. Garrett, my buddy, 30, another gardener, saw it too. She's stirring the pot, he muttered one day, clipping hedges. Always does. Piper, that journalist, 26, was the real wild card. Her blog was blowing up, and she was gunning for the Vincents. She'd been sniffing around since the goblet went missing, twisting half-truths into headlines. Her latest post called Donovan a disgraced heir and hinted at dark secrets in the winery. It lit up social media, and I saw Emmett, 60, the patriarch, raging in his office, slamming phones. Lorelei, 58, was a wreck, wandering the gardens, muttering, "We lost him." Piper wasn't just reporting, she was weaponizing the story, chasing fame. I caught her at the estate, grilling Nina about the goblet. "Come on, you know something," Piper pressed. "Record her out." Nina just smiled, cagey as ever. Piper turned to me next, all charm. "You're always here. Seen anything juicy?" I shrugged. "Just dirt and roses, lady." She laughed, but her eyes were knives. Donovan was thriving, though. He'd moved up at Isaiah's bar, handling inventory, and aced his online winemaking courses. Monica, 27, his sommelier friend, and Harrison, 29, his coder buddy, were his crew. One night, I saw them at the bar, laughing over burgers, Donovan looking lighter than he had in years. Isaiah joined them, sharing a story about his old vineyard, how he grafted vines by hand. "You're grafting your own life now," he told Donovan. "Make it yours." Donovan nodded, and I thought, kid's gonna make it. Then Oakley dropped the bomb. Donovan met him at the bar, and I was there, wiping down tables for Isaiah. Oakley slid over a folder. "Your sister set you up," he said. Kyla had paid Nina to hide the goblet in the cellar, framing Donovan to cut him out of the winery's future. She saw him as a threat. His ideas for organic wines were gaining traction with the staff, but it got worse. Forrest knew the whole time. He'd been bleeding money from bad deals tied to his old scams. He used the goblet mess to blackmail Kyla, demanding a cut of the winery to cover his debts. Donovan's face went white, then red. "They all lied," he said. Isaiah put a hand on his shoulder. "You're stronger than their games. What's your move?" Donovan didn't answer, but I knew he was planning something. Piper struck next, Her new article hit like a missile. Vincent Winery's dirty laundry, naming Kyla, Forrest, and the Goblet scheme. She twisted Oakley's findings, painting the whole family as crooks, Donovan included. The internet ate it up, number Vincent scandal trended, and the winery's stock tanked. Customers canceled orders, investors bailed. Emmett called an emergency board meeting, and I saw suits swarming the estate. Lorelai was in tears, begging Nina to fix it. Kyla was holed up in her office, Forrest nowhere to be found. Piper was at the gates, filming for her blog, milking the chaos. I overheard her on the phone. "This is my ticket to CNN." She didn't care who she burned. Donovan faced his family again, this time at the winery's tasting room. I was outside hauling compost, but the windows were open. Emmett offered him the keys to the kingdom, full control of the winery. "We were wrong," he said, voice cracking. Lorelai sobbed. "Come home, please." Kyla, pale, muttered an apology, but it felt hollow. Donovan stood tall. "You chose her lie over me," he said. "I built my own life. I don't need yours." He walked out, leaving them stunned. I caught his eye as he passed, gave a nod. Kid was free. But Piper wasn't done. She cornered Donovan at the bar, all smiles, offering a tell-all interview to clear his name. I was there, restocking, and heard her pitch. "We'll bury them." "You'll be the hero." Donovan saw through her. "You're no better than they are," he said. "You twist everything for yourself." Piper's mask slipped, her voice sharp. "You'll regret this." She stormed out, and I knew she'd double down. The fallout was brutal. Piper's article led to a police raid. Forrest got nabbed for his old scams, dragged off in cuffs. Kyla broke the engagement, her reputation shot. The winery teetered on bankruptcy, Emmett scrambling to save it. Lorelai sent Donovan letters begging for contact, but he kept his distance. Piper won a journalism award, her face plastered on newsstands, but I saw her at another estate, sniffing for the next scandal. She tried Garrett this time, offering cash for dirt. "Not interested," he said, walking away. "Good man." Donovan made his choice. I heard from Monica he was moving to Oregon with her and Harrison to start a small winery. Organic, small batch, his own rules. Isaiah sent him off with a crate of his old vintages. "Make something true," he told him. I was at the bar for the send-off, watching Donovan hug Isaiah. "You saved me," Donovan said. Isaiah shrugged. "You saved yourself, kid." They poured one last glass, and I raised mine from the corner, silent. I'm back at the Vincent estate now, mowing lawns. The place feels empty. Kyla's gone. Emmett's a shadow. Lorelai's in therapy. The winery's limping along, a ghost of itself. I'm trimming roses one day when Piper calls me voice syrupy. Got a new story. Another family, bigger secrets. Want to talk? I hang up. Truth's a funny thing in Napa. Everyone's selling their own version. Donovan's out there planting vines, building something real. Me? I just keep the gardens green, watching the next storm brew. Thanks so much for watching. Your likes, subscriptions, and comments mean the world, and keep these stories coming.